Good morning, Bay School. Happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. It was a beautiful one. We are in our final week and push before the fall holiday break. So looking forward to making this a really good one. A reminder, a great week to check in with teachers during tutorial, as we'll have a pretty swift 3-week push when we get back from fall break for the end of the second semester. Also, for all of those folks who celebrate Diwali, a very happy Diwali, as you hopefully celebrated this past weekend, and may the coming season be filled with light, goodness, and hope. Excited this morning to turn it over to a member of the faculty, Rachel, faculty and a parent, I should point out, of a student at Bay, Rachel Tennenbaum.
Thank you. Thanks, Luke. Hi, Bay. Good morning. I am going to just go ahead and share my screen because I have a couple of slides here. I hope this works. Okay, so hello, Bay School. This is my first morning meeting and I'm excited to be doing this. As Luke mentioned, I am the Human Resources and Payroll Manager, so I am a member of the Bay faculty, and I am also a new Bay parent this year. I began working for Bay in July of 2017. One of the things I love most about my time so far at Bay is morning meeting. I dearly miss sharing this uplifting experience on campus with all of you, and I absolutely cannot wait until we are able to do this in person again. A wonderful and for me, excitingly scary and particularly challenging aspect of being a part of the Bay community is the freedom and the encouragement to be our most authentic and vulnerable selves. I love that all faculty and students are encouraged to share at a morning meeting, but I really prefer watching, ideally from a back corner, to presenting or performing, and I have struggled to think of anything of value I could share with this community. When my daughter Marlo joined the freshman class of Bay this year, hi Marlo, I hope you are watching. I love you, sorry to be embarrassing you. I thought, well, she'll never be comfortable with me sharing at a morning meeting while she is at Bay, so I might now have enough time to come up with something worthy. I put a pause on thinking about what I might be able to share, and I carried on, breathing deeply and content with my invented excuse to remain an observer for now. I have learned, laughed, cried, and been awed and inspired by the stories and talent shared here by members of this creative community who are so hugely brave about being vulnerable with one another. And for the record, Marlo did say she was cool with me sharing this with y'all today. I have always written journals, short stories, poems, scenes, or complete chapters of novels, and I basically have a constant running narration of my life in my head at all times. I am absolutely obsessed with language and the written word. When I was a junior in high school, as you can see here, I had to submit writing to be considered for the AP English course in the following year. I wrote 3 poems, and I remember the one I really liked was from the perspective of a kite. I got very dramatic about the kite going up, 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 and finally peeking over a ridge and pulling at its string. It was super symbolic of how teens felt in my small rural town in Vermont in the mid-1980s. After I was admitted to the course, I asked for my poems back because of course I had submitted my only handwritten copies. And I was told that my former teacher said he had submitted my poems to a magazine and he no longer had them. And that was the last I ever heard of it. Unfortunately, at the time, I was a bitter and confused teen with little support or guidance from responsible adults. And I allowed this experience to sour me on sharing my writing. Whenever I have written for myself as an adult, most of the time my inner harshest critic tells me that my writing is silly and dramatic, so much so that it becomes a painful exercise. And in sharing it, I take the risk that others will think I am silly and dramatic also. But I have still been secretly, sporadically writing, often when I am moved to after a stressful experience, or if I have insomnia and too much time spinning inside my head to ponder life, or even sometimes propelled by a dream. But always my writing is driven by a need that reminds me, even though I'm not a writer, writing is still my thing. No matter what else is happening for me, if I write, I always feel better. As the great singer, musician, and songwriter Jeff Tweedy said in the introduction to his brilliant little book, How to Write One Song, we have a choice: to be on the side of creation or to surrender to the powers that destroy. So I haven't written a poem type item in a very, very long time. My new pandemic way of life has made me somehow even more introspective than usual. And one thing I have been thinking about a lot is parenting, both how I parent and how I myself was parented. Spoiler alert, they're quite different styles. I was drawn to Bay because of the precepts, which I have also been thinking about a lot lately. While my most oft-quoted Bay precept involves telling the kind and careful truth, if I had to choose my very favorite, it would be this one. We value communication. We don't harbor anger or ill will, especially toward ourselves. I desperately want to live this precept, but I find it the most difficult, in part because it is in direct opposition to what I had modeled by my parents when I was growing up. We never talked about anything. And so I learned to use writing when direct communication failed. Due to the overly active self-critic living in my brain, the last part of this precept in particular is what I probably struggle with the most. Recently, we got a puppy, and I am not just gratuitously mentioning it because I want to share a cute photo of her, which of course I do. Here she is. This is Nala. But her arrival is relevant here. Caring for this infant creature who has no potty manners and who constantly is scratching and biting has made me need to wash my hands about twice as much as I already was. So the weird thing is, I had to write this poem I am about to share. Like, I actually felt I had to start scribbling it down immediately after recently catching a glimpse of the back of my own hand. Genes are weird, as are creative impulses, and sometimes even the closest family relationships can become very challenging. And as always, after I got these words out of me, even though nothing else had changed, I felt better. I want to share this poem now in case any of you listening may have a part of yourselves that you haven't exercised in a while, which maybe could serve you well if you rediscovered it now, and to remind the younger among us to always keep using your talents, even if you don't feel accomplished at them. And please, please share the fruits of your creativity with others, even if it feels silly. As the writer Oliver Burkeman said recently in his last column for The Guardian about living a fulfilled life, more often than not, by doing your thing, as opposed to what you think you ought to be doing, you kindle a fire that helps keep the rest of us warm. It's impossible to express how much I appreciate all of you, those of you I know and those of you I do not yet know, for creating this community and this space in particular, which has kept me warm and which allows me to feel comfortable sharing this personal piece of my creativity. I eagerly look forward to learning about your creative outlets and how you are putting them to use during this unsettling time in future morning meetings. So here is my poem. It's called My Mother's Hands. And because I don't really want anyone looking at me while I read it, and to lighten the mood a bit, you can look instead at this very 80s photo of my high school graduation. And in a minute, I'm going to share a more recent photo that I like, taken by Marla. My mother's hands. I press hard to stop the bleeding, rest against the sink, and when my breathing slows, I move the towel to look. Distracted by the shock of seeing the back of my mother's hand, I forget to assess the puppy tooth puncture, focusing on the stubby fingers with their pronounced knuckles, the patches of dry, scaly skin rubbed raw, calloused, crisscrossed by an intricate map of grossly pronounced dark blue, gray, green veins running like smooth ridges through the wrinkle fields. The age spots that I've been passively watching appear and grow and shapeshift for years now are suddenly, shockingly brand new. They certainly do not belong to my hand, on my body. There is only one person with a hand that looks like this, that feels like this, my mother. Each night after I startle myself awake when it's darkest, and it's so immensely quiet. For a second, I am foggy about what woke me. Then I understand. It's these hands. The sharp, stinging sensation I feel at the end of my arms is radiating from a pair of hands so cold, I realize they are no longer my own. I know this because if I know anything, I know there is only one person in the world who can feel, who can be so ice cold. Thank you, Bay.
I'm Ascha Drake. And Rachel, that was so beautiful. I am applauding you and thanking you from Oakland. Amazing to share that part of yourself. And I agree with you. I miss our community and being in community with each other. And hopefully we will be together soon. Today for meditation, I'm going to read from Thich Nhat Hanh's Peace is Every Step. And Thich Nhat Hanh is 96 years old and a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, Zen master, author. So before I read, if you could find a comfortable place to stand, if you're standing or seated, maybe you're on the floor or in a chair, and just settle yourself and just arrive where you are right now. Closing your eyes or maybe looking down in front of you. And as I read, think about the words, and then we're going to practice the breathing that Thich Nhat Hanh talks about. Conscious breathing. There are a number of breathing techniques you can use to make life vivid and more enjoyable. The first exercise is very simple. As you breathe in, you say to yourself, breathing in, I know that I am breathing in. And as you breathe out, say, breathing out, I know that I am breathing out. Just that. You recognize your in-breath as in-breath and your out-breath as out-breath. You don't even need to recite the whole sentence. You can use just 2 words, in and out. This technique can help your mind, keep your mind on your breath. As you practice, your breath will become peaceful and gentle, and your mind and body will also become peaceful and gentle. This is not a difficult exercise. In a few minutes, you can realize the fruit of meditation. Breathing in and out is very important, and it is enjoyable. Our breathing is the link between our body and our mind. Sometimes our mind is thinking of one thing and our body is doing another, and mind and body are not unified. By concentrating on our breath in and out, we bring body and mind back together and become whole again. Conscious breathing is an important bridge. To me, breathing is a joy that I cannot miss. Every day I practice conscious breathing, and in my small meditation room, I have calligraphied this sentence: breathe, you are alive. Just breathing and smiling can make us very happy, because when we breathe consciously, we recover ourselves completely and encounter life in the present moment. So, having listened to Thich Nhat Hanh's words, just thinking about conscious breathing, saying to yourself, in as you inhale, out as you exhale. And we'll sit for about a minute practicing conscious breathing. Slowly start to open your eyes if they've been closed. Smile. And I hope you all have a beautiful day. Thank you very much.
Since Ascha shared with us some words from Thich Nhat Hanh, I'm going to share with you one other thing from him. This is a book that actually was gifted to me by Erin, and it's a mindful year. There's a little daily mindful practice every day. This is back from November 11th, but I really love this one. There's a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh that says, "This is it." So today, my invitation for you is to embrace the gift of life. Whatever reality brings to your doorstep, try to see the beauty, joy, and meaning that are here. This is it. Happy Monday, Bay School. One more week. You got this. We'll see you soon. Bye.